Phones in LA are lighting up right now. And I don't mean July fireworks. I mean front office level tremors that make you stop mid-scroll and wonder if the Western Conference just shifted an inch to the left. 3 logos. 3 agendas. One bold framework that could flip matchups from Halloween to May and erase the kind of playoff mistakes that kept us up at night. Imagine a lob threat who plays like a trampoline under the rim, a wing who eats point-of-attack assignments for breakfast, and a front office finally turning salary slots into solutions instead of just names on a spreadsheet. If you felt that jolt, it wasn't your imagination. It was urgency, and urgency is how you rescue a window before it slides. Shut. Here's what I'm promising you in the next minutes. I'm going to break down the concept that has Mavericks, Nets, and Lakers color-coded on whiteboards across the league. What goes in, what comes out, and why the money and timing actually make sense. I'll lay out how the rotation transforms around LeBron James and Anthony Davis, which lineups gain teeth, which matchups get easier, where the risks sit, and what happens if this thing doesn't materialize. I'll separate what we know from what we're hearing, show how this could address last year's glaring needs without mortgaging the whole future, and explain why 2 specific names would matter in LA the second they land at Lax. By the end, you'll know exactly where you stand and how aggressive you want the Lakers to be before camp. You're watching Lakers News Fan Report. If purple and gold runs your week, if you time dinner the tip-off, and you can replay a LeBron push-ahead pass in your head at 3A mismatch, subscribe, drop that like, and hit the bell. We live this team, and we bring you the details before they become the talking points. Let's set the scene like grown-ups. The West got heavier again. Everybody that matters added at least one thing they needed: a stopper, a spacer, or a second-unit brain. The Lakers? Great top-end talent, proven star power, a core that knows the stage, but we all saw the same 2 gaps last season. A consistent vertical rim runner who can live in the dunker spot and sprint into high screens, and a sturdy defensive wing to absorb big minutes without breaking spacing. The offense too often flattened when LeBron sat. The defense asked the D to cover 2 fires at once. We saw small ball lineups win stretches, but not always series. We saw how hard it is to beat elite offenses without a true lob gravity big and a switchable wing who makes the other coach burn timeouts. That's the backdrop, and that's why tonight's talk has teeth out now. Here's the real news you came for. The concept swirling among cap heads and league watchers is a 3-team framework with Dallas and Brooklyn that puts the Lakers in position to address both pain points in one move. The Lakers would receive Daniel Gafford, yes, that Daniel Gafford, the elite rim runner and shot blocker, and a defensive-minded 6 feet 7 inches wing in the Haywood-Highsmith mode. Outgoing from LA will be Gabe Vincent, promising rookie shooter Dalton Knecht, a 2031 first-round pick, and a 2026 first-round swap. Dallas would send out Gafford and bring back Vincent plus the draft assets, giving them flexibility and a guard who can steady units when their stars sit. Brooklyn, operating as the draft and development partner, would land Knecht and an additional second-rounder, aligning with their youth timeline. That's the framework. That's the balance sheet. It puts immediate help in purple and gold, future flexibility in Dallas, and a clean development bet in Brooklyn. And to be crystal clear, we're in rumor territory. This is a concept, not an announced deal. But it's not a random Twitter trade machine either. This is the kind of structure that actually talks to the CBA and to the basketball. Let's get into the why for LA. Because fit is what wins April. Daniel Gafford is not a maybe archetype. He's a you-can't-ignore-me roller. He screens like he means it, explodes to the rim, and finishes with absurd efficiency. Think near 70% shooting on mostly diet shots that your offense was missing when the Perenx was missing when the Puri half-court got sticky. Put him next to LeBron and Austin Reeves and watch the geometry fix itself. Nailed defenders can't sit in LeBron's driving lane when the backline is worried about a lob. Weak side tags become full-blown compromises. Slot cutters find daylight because the low man cheats toward Gafford out of pure survival. Defensively, he gives you second side shot deterrence without needing to gamble. And he lets a D roll more often, instead of being chained to the rim for 38 minutes. Close games become easier to script. You can play a D at the 5 to close if the matchup demands switch everything. But for 2.5 quarters, you can buy him cleaner minutes, keep foul count sane, and reduce the save everything burden that has burned him late in seasons. Is for the wing. The Lakers needed one more trustworthy, low-usage defender who cuts with purpose, spaces well enough to keep the floor clean, mid-30s from 3 is enough in the right lineups, and understands the difference between guarding the ball and guarding the action. That's exactly the kind of wing Haywood Highsmith has profiled as big, discipline, plug and play. You aren't asking him to create. You're asking him to be the connective tissue that turns a good defensive possession into a great one. Think about Denver. You want one more body to put on Murray types so Reeves can slide to the second option, while LeBron saves legs for closing. Think about Minnesota. You want a wing who can bang with size without turning your spacing into sludge. Think about OKC. You want someone who can absorb Giddey's EA cross matches without becoming a target on the other end. This is why archetypes matter more than names in October, and why this name, in particular, fits what the Lakers lacked. Let's talk money and mechanics, because none of this matters if the numbers don't sing. Gabe Vincent's deal is the key matching salary. He's a pro's pro guard whose playoff calm is real, but last season's availability and fit raise questions. His number allows you to legally stack income and money without touching the top end of the core. Dalton Knecht is the fascinating swing piece. He can shoot it. He's competitive. He understands movement basketball, and he's under team control for years. That's exactly why Brooklyn would say yes. He fits a rebuild arc, and wings who can shoot don't grow on trees. The picks one far out first and a swap are the sweeteners that make Dallas breathe, because they're balancing a center rotation, looking at future optionality, and refusing to lock themselves into too many dollars at the 5 when their star is heliocentric. For LA, shipping a 2031 first feels distant. The swap in 2026 is a hedge you can live with if the present becomes materially better. This is how contenders use time. Trade tomorrow for today only when today becomes a lot more dangerous. Zoom in on the basketball again. Picture basic empty corner ball. LeBron brings it up. Gafford sprints into a high screen. Reeves and Rui space weak side. The wing defender at the nail stares at a choice he hates. If he tags hard, corner 3. If he stays home, downhill drive or lob. If they switch it, LeBron flips it to Rui at the elbow, sets a hard pin in for the wing, and you get a wide open catch and shoot because Gafford's man is still high. This is how you create easy points without grinding. With a D on the floor, you can toggle opponent matchups into confusion. A D spaces mid-post or slips into short roll playmaking. Gafford stays vertical and rim-bound. The defense has to pick a poison instead of dictating yours. And when Gafford sits, you can go back to a D at 5 closing lineups that have won you series before. Nothing about this limits flexibility. It multiplies it. Defense is where this goes from interesting to this could win a round. You add a wing like Highsmith, and suddenly you can push Reeves into more Rome Peel responsibilities, reducing blow by strain. You can switch more two-man actions without committing a third defender. You can keep LeBron fresher because one more adult can take primary for a few trips while he quarterbacks the shell. And with Gafford lurking, your guards can press higher at the point of attack because there's an actual parachute at the rim, not just a contest and pray. Think about those mid-game runs where a team hits 3 straight at the rim and a corner 3 and the building gets loud. That's where a single weak side rejection or a backboard pin changes the crowd, the bench energy, and the shot diet on both ends. Gafford has those plays in his body. The Lakers have needed more of those swing possessions. Now let's be brutally honest about the cost. Dalton Knecht isn't just a name. He's one of those rookies whose floor spacing and competitiveness screen playoff rotation down the play. Line. Giving that up hurts, and there's a real universe where you regret it in 3 years. Gabe Vincent, when healthy, is the kind of calm ball handler that wins a random road game in March, and picks? Picks are the lifeblood of retools. If you're doing this, you're saying out loud, we believe in the LeBron AD core enough to spend future oxygen on present fire. That's not wrong, but it has to be intentional. The other risk is structural. If Gafford's minutes overlap too much with a D in lineups that lack shooting, you can cramp spacing. If the wing shooting variance dips, teams may dare you. The counter is rotation discipline. Stagger, stagger, stagger. Keep 2 shooters on at all times. Keep a secondary creator on the floor with each big. And let the defense do the work for your offense by forcing closeouts. What's fact and what's speculation here? Fact. The Lakers have an obvious need for a vertical spacer big and another defensive wing. The Mavericks are positioned to value future picks and guard stability in certain constructs. The Nets are living in a development-first timeline where adding a cost-controlled shooter like Necht makes basketball sense. Fact. Salary matching pieces exist, and there are genuine paths to CBA-compliant math without touching the untouchables. Speculation. Whether these 3 teams actually sit at the same table with these exact names. Whether a 4th team attempts to hijack the concept. Whether internal evaluations of Necht's upside make the Lakers protect him more tightly. Whether Gallus demands a different asset or Brooklyn pushes for a larger pick. This is a rumor with roots in real logic, not a guarantee stamped by Roy or Shams. Let's talk matchups, because trades are judged in series, not in spreadsheets. Denver? You need another big body to absorb non-Jokic minutes and to contest lobs to Gordon without sending a D to the red zone. Gafford helps in both. Minnesota? Size on size, having one more legitimate rim athlete allows you to foul less and run more. OKC, their spacing and driving lanes test your tags. A lively 5 shrinks windows they love. Dallas and Phoenix? A wing who digs and recovers without fouling is the difference between a 14-3 run killed us and we bent but didn't break. That's the calculus. Every contender is hunting edges. This gives you 2 edges that translate in any gym. There's also the human layer. LeBron at this stage knows the difference between cool, idea, and playoff difference. A D feels the difference between saving every possession and sharing the burden. Reeves, Rude, Lowe, these guys feed on clarity. You give Darvin Ham a cleaner rotation tree, and suddenly roles don't yo-yo from game to game. Players buying faster. Mistakes have context, not panic. Even your end-of-bench guys look better when the core is balanced, because the possessions they play are functional, not emergency triage. I want to address one thing before we land the plane. The rookie question. Fans fall in love with rookies, and often for good reason. But contender timelines are cruel. If the Lakers believe Necht becomes a plus shooter who holds up defensively this year, you pause and try to build the big spot a different way. If the internal view is that his impact is 18 to 24 months out, then attaching him to grab immediate playoff help isn't heresy. It's alignment. The only wrong answer is indecision. My opinion? If the price is roughly what we've outlined, Vincent, Necht, a far out first, and a swap in the medicals checkout, I would do it. I'd do it because Gafford's fit turns half-court mud into oxygen for LeBron and Reeves while reducing AD's nightly tax. And because one more disciplined wing defender is exactly how you survive the 3 minutes a quarter when stars rest. I'd do it because the West doesn't wait, and because windows have a way of closing without sending a calendar invite. I would, however, draw a line at piling on additional first or young core pieces. The point is to sharpen the blade, not pawn the forge. Now it's your turn. Would you send out Vincent and Necht plus those picks to bring in Gafford and a defensive wing right now? Or do you hold Dalton and try to find a cheaper bid later? Which closing 5 are you picturing in a Game 5 on the road? LeBron, Reeves, Rui, AD, and Gafford in spurts? Or do you keep AD at the 5 and use Gaffer to destroy second units. Drop your constructions, your thresholds, your no-go conditions in the comments. We read everything, and the smartest takes make it back on the show. Because this community doesn't just react, we build a blueprint together.